Hey guys, Adam here with AmericanTrucks.com. Today we're taking a closer look at, listening to, and installing the Borla Touring catback exhaust with the dual side exit tips in the black chrome finish, available for the 2015 to 2018 5-liter F150. You should be taking a look at this for your own F150 if you're in the market for a full catback exhaust system that beefs up your aggression just a little bit, letting you know it's aftermarket with a deep and mellow tone. Now, Borla is known for making some of the top quality materials on the market, so this one is going to be one of the more premium options in the category. Borla has a couple of different options in the category as far as volume and tone is concerned. They have the Touring, the Stinger S-Type, and the Attack. Now, the Touring model is one of the lower options as far as volume, and it isn't going to be as aggressive as some of the other ones. This is for the guys just looking to go one bump over the stock sound system. This is going to beef up the materials significantly, however, just because the aggressive sound isn't as loud or as aggressive as some of the other options. It still boasts the highest quality 304 stainless steel on the market, so still sticks with that Borla quality materials while giving you a slightly less obnoxious sound that you would get from something like the Borla Attack. That mid-level option would be the Stinger S-Type, so there's a lot of different options to fit your different preferences. The Touring option here I will take a closer look at sitting next to the factory exhaust on the ground so we can see the material difference, talk about the sound difference, and what the muffler is going to look like, as well as that dual side exit exhaust tip. Now, as you heard from our sound clips, I'm going to give this one 2 out of 5 on our loud and speeder. Like I said, it's one step above the factory exhaust, but it still is a little bit deeper and a little bit more aggressive than that factory muffler. It's not too aggressive, so I think 2 out of 5 is very fitting. As you see, it still dumps behind the passenger side rear tire, keeping that factory location, only now you're getting rid of that factory look, which didn't really have a tip at all, and you're giving it that dual exhaust with the chrome black tip. Basically, that's a black powder coated look with a very, very glossy, almost reflective chrome finish over top of that, and the Borla name stamped over top of that. It's a very aggressive look. I think it looks really stealthy on the F-150, and with this color, couldn't get any better. For this particular system, you can expect to be spending between $1,100 and $1,200. Again, it is one of the top of the line materials. Borla is known for being some of the best brands in the category, and that reflects in the price tag. 304 stainless will hold up all year round, which is great for the guys located in a wintry weather area like us here on the East Coast. If you see that road salt, if you're seeing a lot of off-road dirt, this will take the beating as opposed to the factory exhaust, which can corrode and rust a lot faster than this would. And honestly, this is a little better than some of the aluminized options and the 409 stainless you'd get in other brands in the category. Something to keep in mind moving forward. Now, we already said 2 out of 3 wrenches, but as far as time, expect about 2 hours from start to finish with very simple hand tools. You want to have an impact gun, 13 mil, and a 15 millimeter socket. I also recommend a 13 millimeter swivel socket, which might make some of your lives a little bit easier. If you're working on the ground, make sure you have jack stands supporting your vehicle at all times. I want to show you guys the process step by step, starting with the uninstall of the factory exhaust, so let's get to it. Tools used for this install include an impact gun or a ratchet, 13 millimeter swivel socket, 15 millimeter deep socket, hanger removal tool, PB blaster or WD-40, and a mallet or a hammer. First step of the install here is grab your 13 millimeter socket. I'm going to use a swivel just to make life a little easier in these awkward angles. You're going to remove the extension pipe that has your muffler or your resonator back here right behind your catalytic converters. And get these all the way out. The next step here, we're going to use PB Blaster. WD-40 works as well. You just want to lube up the hangers into their isolators. After a couple of years, this can get a little tough to remove. Just squirting them on each side of that will help, ease the tension in there and make it a little easier to pop out. Do this for all 3 of the hangers. Now, in order to get these out, I'm going to use a hanger removal tool. It makes life a little easier. If you don't have one of these, a pry bar works as well. You just want to pop the hanger out of the isolator, and you want to be careful that this whole thing isn't going to drop down. So we're going to start squeezing this side while watching the other side to make sure the whole thing doesn't crash down. With those hangers loosened up, now it's time to pop the whole thing off of our truck. We finally got our factory exhaust off of our 18 F-150 and on the ground here sitting next to the Borla Touring catback. As you can see, a lot of similarities, but also a lot of differences between the two systems. First thing I want to point out is the size of the muffler and what effect what the baffling is on the inside will have on our sound. Now that factory muffler has a ton of baffling. It really minimizes that sound. It's not very aggressive. Doesn't really let anybody know that it's a 5-liter. Doesn't really sound like a true V8. Now, upgrading that to a Borla system is going to make the world of difference. Now, granted, this is the Touring Edition, so it is a lot more mellow. It's still a step up from that factory sound, but it's not going to be as aggressive, as sporty, or as loud in volume as, say, the Borla Stinger S-Type or the Borla Attack. The Borla system is going to retain that resonator at the back end. It is going to match the Borla Touring muffler, and minimizing any kind of drone. There is absolutely zero drone inside the cabin with the Touring exhaust. That muffler is also going to minimize any of that harshness or vibration you get from some of those louder, more aggressive tones. It's going to sound overall really good. It's going to get a little more sporty as you open up that throttle. Idle is going to sound really nice and rumbly, but it's not going to be too overwhelming. And driving on the street lets you know it's an aftermarket catback, but doesn't really go too overboard. The entire kit's made of a very, very high quality 304 stainless steel. It's got mandrel bends to maximize the airflow, minimize restriction, so it gives you a small bump in power and throttle response. As far as the diameter of the tubing, you're getting a 3-inch diameter at the front end of the muffler toward the front of the vehicle. Toward the back end of the vehicle, after that muffler, it splits off into that dual exit style with 2¼ inch tubing. That's going to help with splitting off that exhaust, giving you that dual side exit. So it's not a true dual exhaust, but exiting from that muffler, you get the sporty dual exit tips coming out behind your passenger side rear tire. Those tips, by the way, are slash cut 4-inch stainless steel tips that have been powder coated in black and have a glossy finish on top. It looks phenomenal. It's extremely stealthy. It looks really good on the truck, and it really matches our leadfoot gray truck here. With that said, if you're not really a fan of this particular exit style, Borla has a ton of different styles to fit your personal preference. Personally, I really like that classic truck exit style behind that rear passenger side tire, and the fact that it's got 2 tips or that dual exhaust exit just makes it all the better. Doesn't really even compare to that factory exhaust, which essentially is just a cut-off pipe. There is absolutely no tip on the back end, so this is a huge upgrade. So without further ado, I want to show you guys how this gets installed. Of course, it's being installed in portions as opposed to the factory one that came off all in one piece. I'll show you guys every step of the way, so let's get to it. All right, now we can take our Borla extension pipe, slide that over our frame, use our factory 13mm bolts that we took off originally. All right, now we're gonna take our next adapter pipe that hooks into this factory hanger on our frame. You're gonna make sure you put your 3-inch acceptable clamp on the end of it, slide that into position, and pop it into that hanger. I'll tighten this down with a 15mm socket. You don't want to go too tight just yet. Leave a little bit of room for adjustment in case we have to rotate it. All right, next up is our muffler going to the over axle pipe. This one, we're going to slide into the hanger first, right above the axle. Line that up with our pipe. Make sure you have that clamp over the muffler inlet and tighten it down. Again, leave it just a little bit loose, but snug enough that it holds itself, just in case we need adjustment later. Next up is our exhaust exit tips. Those will go right into the hanger first as well. At this point, once you have your tips going out that side exit, make sure they're aligned straight. Once they are straight and exactly how you want it, go back and tighten down all of the clamps to make sure there's no leaks. Tighten down all of the bolts toward the back end of the muffler. Tighten those down to make sure there's no leaks as well. Definitely don't want an exhaust leak. If you start your car up or you start your truck up and you hear some ticking sounds coming from the exhaust, that means something isn't tightened up. Go back and tighten them again, and then you'll be good to hit the road. Well, that's gonna wrap up my review and install of the Borla Touring Catback exhaust with the dual polished black chrome tips. You can get your exhaust right here at AmericanTrucks.com.